Island, forest and mountains, which are peppered with a copious amount of mutants. This is Sons of the Forest and my walkthrough is dying in this wonderful and kind game. Having chosen the maximum difficulty, I appeared on a helicopter which, due to random circumstance, crashed and dropped me and my partner on the top of soft snowy mountains. Having woken up, I was again sent to deep sleep, after which I opened my eyes and picked up all the equipment that I could find and looted the nearest cave with an air 10. In general, I have not played this game before, but I have experience in the forest, so it's unlucky that I will encounter any problems in this game. The first thing you need to do is go down the mountain. Most of the content is probably in the forest. Along the way I didn't miss the opportunity to collect all the useful plants and resources that I could find. Almost immediately I met the first vehicle in this game, golf cart. It's a pity that Kelvin can't sit with me, but I think he himself wouldn't want to be a passenger with such a cool driver. The best solution is to explore the island starting from the shore. So after one exciting trip I ended up on the shore. On the shore I collected all the resources and saw a drifting inflatable boat. Without any doubt I set sail and collected my first firearm. Having driven a little further along the coast, night came, visibility deteriorated many times over, and therefore after looking at the instruction I made my first sleeping shelter out the awning. After breakfast I went further along the coast and suddenly I saw a strange spot on the map which, as it turned out, indicated a hang glider. I was not able to use the hang glider since I had not used it before. I think I won't find anything else along the shore, so it's worth adjusting the road deeper into the forest. This turned out to be the right decision. Almost immediately I found abandoned tents where there were a lot of supplies. By the way, I'm playing the latest version of Sons of the Forest, where the story walkthrough has already been completed. So in this video the walkthrough of this game is the most relevant. Having walked quite a distance I came across a lonely grave, but without a shovel I had nothing to do here. So after killing the raccoon I found another rest stop with immunity and food. Here is my first cave with the corpses of builders and another golf cart at the entrance. I decided to go in and explore this cave, but after walking a little I changed my mind and decided that it was too early for me to explore the caves. I sat down in a golf cart and just drove along the road, hoping to find something interesting. The road took me to a camp of cannibals who did not expect such low driving skills from me. Having taken all the resources that they obviously didn't need, I still drove along the road that led me to another camp nearby. Having dealt with everyone according to the old scenario and also taking all the few resources, I moved on with the thought that it was time to build a hut in the middle of the forest. In the last part of the game the first days were simple, and after that constant stress and raids at night begin. And welcoming guests at night without a home or anything like that is, to put it mildly, a bad idea. Not far from the lake I found many golf carts. It looks like someone here wanted to build something or has already built it, but we don't see it yet. After driving a little on a golf cart I came across another abandoned camp in which a military man waving his flyer with all his might tried to call for help, but instead of help I came to him. Therefore, having taken everything that was lying here, I found a military man nearby and cut the rope. I found a flashlight. Now exploring caves will become much more enjoyable. Having also set out in a golf cart I came across a clearing in which several corpses dressed in white and with wreaths on their heads lay peacefully. Finally I again met an abandoned camp where I found a lot of supplies and another type of transport in this game Monopoly saw. Now my mobility has increased significantly and I can drive not only on roads but I also through forests. But first I need to get used to transport again. Thanks to monopolies at the speed of light I ended up on the shore where I again met a military man with a lot of resources. But this time I was likely to find a machete. I also crafted a bow, arrows and explosive. Next I looted another camp and went to test my bow in practice. There are quite a lot of enemies here, but I was able to fight an individual approach to everyone. After shooting a little I burned all the natives and made beautiful armor out of them. Then having passed in the lake and driving along the river, I found a good place for a base. A steep cliff where two sides are protected by a cliff that will not allow the aborigines to climb up to me and will save a lot of wood for building a fence. I immediately began clearing the area of bushes so that nothing would interfere with my design of the future base. I also decided to cut down unnecessary trees and getting a little carried away I built two meat dryers. As it smelled like progress, Kelvin immediately came and immediately received an order from me to carry sticks. In the meantime, I will start building the initial structures for survival. Before large-scale instruction, you need to prepare everything necessary, and this is at least a Alaska for logs. And not just which one, but the best one. Night came and I decided to sleep, but I was interrupted by the raid of the aborigines, but thanks to the bow and machete I was able to survive that night. It's time to build a house for birds. There are not feathers nor rows, and without a bow I'm like without hands. Construction will take a long time, so first it's better to build a fence. It will be a little calmer at night. Closer to the night I almost completed the fence, but I was visited again by the inhabitants of this island. It's a pity that they only visit me at night, but the pitch darkness will not prevent me from dealing with them and completing the fence. The fence has been completed, but so far it's not able to protect me from the guests. It's still necessary to sharpen each lock at the fence, which Kelvin and I immediately began to do. The fence is completely ready, which means that at first I won't be so scared, because between me and the natives there will be a great wall that will not allow the enemies to get to me. Morning came and I decided to set a fish trap, but looking ahead a little I will change its location and make a few more. It's time for tree house, with which I can shoot enemies without even leaving the base. I also decided to put a canopy nearby, from which I plan to make a small house for myself. The construction in this game has been changed quite a lot compared to the previous part. The impressions were good, but the fact that I had to build the fence by hand. Of course, I didn't really like it, I spent too much time. In parallel with the construction, I also decided to work on the interior of my territory. So I decided to build a fireplace and several beds for a future plant farm. So another night came, for which I was completely prepared, and with a campfire I could go to bed without being saved by a sudden attack. In the morning I decided to put more fish traps so that hunger would no longer be a problem. Having dealt with the aborigine, I realized that it was time to unwind a little and replenish my supplies. I set out to explore this island. My attention was attacked by a large lake with a waterfall, on the shore of which in the rock I found the entrance to a cave which I decided to explore. As this is my first cave, it was a little intimidating, but upon entering I realized that I had nothing to do here without scuba gear, so I took everything I could. Now I am practically at the highest point of this island, so the best solution would be a continued traveling by air. By the way, this is my first flight. Of course, I had to look on the internet how to fly and control a hang glider correctly, but in the principle it's not that difficult. I decided to head towards the shore for the sake of the cave. Since I couldn't explore the last cave, I will start with this one. At the beginning of the cave I made some loot. A little deeper in the cave I was met by local residents. It's not easy to cope with such a crowd of enemies, even on the highest difficult. They constantly surround me and try to kill me, but thanks to my ingenuity I killed every native and mutant from whom I escaped. I dealt with enemies, but then I was met by a fork. Since I don't go to the left, we go to the right. There I was also met by aborigines and mutants, but I already knew how to kill them, so after a few minutes they were all defeated, and I was able to pick up the stun gun and catch a scene where there was something passing on the other side of the cave. Returning back I went in the other direction. The cave in this game is very beautiful and large. Having taken the scuba gear I didn't dare swim through the shark. Better not to take another risk, especially with my health. After walking a little around the island, I arrived on the other side where I began to explore the area. There was nothing interesting on the shore, so I moved deeper into the forest where I found another cave which turned out to be a bunker. Here there are modern walls and 3D printer and equipment. We were not even deprived of a place to sleep. To be honest, I would have stayed here. It's quite safe and calm here. There are no raids at first and there is no winter. Not everything I want is destined to come true, so after spending all the resin and creating all the necessary things on 3D printer, I moved further where the door stopped me. In order to go further, you need a key card. I don't have one, so there is nothing for me to do here. Today I'm in the mood for traveling through caves, so having found the next cave, I entered it without hesitation and began exploring. Almost immediately in this cave I was met by unfamiliar aborigines and mutants, but thanks to the bow I neutralized most of them and was able to break through further where I found the cross. Then I had to wield a machete. Having dealt with everyone, I moved on where I was met by a passage in which a huge mutant was stuck, and there were also explosives nearby. After the explosion I also dealt with the other natives using the same explosives. A little further there were many mutants and their babies. The cave was getting bigger and bigger, there was no end to it, and there were too many mutants and aborigines. So I started running past some enemies so as not to waste time on them. After a long walk through this cave, I used our rope launcher which I used to get out of this giant cave. Coming out of the cave I was happy. I found myself very close to my house. I think for now I need to go home. As soon as I returned to my base, the aborigines attacked with whom I immediately dealt with. Don't worry, all the corpses were burned and the bones were collected. Having spent a little time at my base, I decided to go further to explore the island. Exactly at nightfall I found the entrance to another cave in which without any problems I was able to swim across the desired part of the cave. As soon as I emerged, mutants and aborigines stood in front of me. But thanks to the water in which the wicked are afraid to go, I easily dealt with everyone. Ahead of me was a good repeat of the passage of the first cave. We already know all the tactics, so we will skip the moment. After killing all the ill-wishers, the cave increased in size again, which means that there will be something here. And so it turned out huge mutants with whom I would have to fight a very long time, so quickly looted everything while dodging attacks. I ran further where I was met by water again, and when emerging I also met aborigines and mutants. All the enemies drowned due to happy circumstances, and having passed further I found our shovel and strange structure. The moment where I again had to freeze the passage from the stuck mutant. Coming out of the cave I decided to go on Lonely Grave which was located on the edge of the map. They say that a shotgun I buried there which I took for myself. By the way, winter has already begun, seasons appeared in this game, so we had the opportunity to walk on the frozen lake, not far from which there was an abandoned helicopter. Judging by the map, I'm already close to the new bunker which I found and dug out not without difficulty. Inside the bunker there were luxury apartments. The bunker turned out to be not as big as I would like, but I found a key card here which gives me new opportunities. I continued my journey on a golf cart, climbing higher like a bird, continued to explore the island from the air. Around home I began installing solar panels, installed electricity and installing lighting in my future home. I decided to make the house out of stone, so after making the foundation and then the flowers I began to push out the walls. I was engaged in construction all night, occasionally interrupting to kill the aborigines. The construction of the walls does not stop for a minute. Most of it has already been done and all that remains is to make the door seal in the window. But the aborigines began to attack very often, most likely because I had already survived for many days. The treehouse has already been completed and I also wanted to install wires and lighting there, but the light bulbs quickly ran out, so I need to explore the caves again. Having entered the cave where I earlier could not go further to the lake of the key card, I saw a gym where there were many mutants and aborigines. Having dealt with everyone, I had looted everything I could find. This bunker never ceased to amaze. There is a gym, sauna, restaurant, swimming pool and club. Taking the key card from the nearby corpses, I entered the room where there was a laptop and cartridges. Behind the next door was a corridor with a crowd of aborigines who already looked more like people but behaved like mutants. I think they should be classified as mutants. Then I was also met by mutants, after passing which I found a cinema and chainsaw. Walking along the corridor I was greeted by a scene where a military man with a mutant hand appears.
It's not safe here. You're running out of time. It's gonna happen again. You have to leave.
The cafe ended, so when I returned home I continued to deal with solar panels, batteries and lightning. Virginia began to get used to me and even brought aloe vera and in return shared clothes with her. After some time I finally completed the house and even installed a bed, in which I spent the entire next night. Winter has passed and spring has come. Finally all the snow has started melt and my water collectors are working again. In honor of spring I even completed the door well. Where would we be without our beloved aborigines with warm? By the way, it's already kind of boring to fight even despite my difficulty. The house I finished, I decided to build a wall that would bring a feeling of coziness. I moved the cable and placed another fireplace between the new walls. But this is what my base looks like at night. In such a base it's not scary at first, after all the lighting is cool. Somehow the construction was delayed, so I picked up the hang glider and flew to a new unexplored part of the island. After flying a little I landed and continued on my way in a golf cart. I came across several graves that I dug up and robbed. I would have continued on my way, but an aboriginal camp appeared on my road, which I could not pass by. Here I found a monocalcine bunker, which turned out to be flooded. I looted it and continued my journey on the monocalcine. I encountered an aboriginal camp again, and it received the same care as the other camps I visited. Next I came across tents and a new cave that I filled. Nearby there was a shore and bunch of small islands. Going down to the shore I met beautiful views. It would be better if I built my base somewhere here, but it's too late. Against the aboriginal camp it would be better to pass and avoid conflict. Damn, it turned out to be more difficult than I expected, but I was able to jump and happily swam to the other side. Having slept and saved myself, I went along the path deep into the forest, where I met several houses or barns and the graves of former residents. Nearby I also found and looted a cave with a new drawing. I am on my way to the cave. Here is, by the way, there is helicopter near it as well as military one. We won't stay here for long. Here we are inside the cave, which turned out to be a bunker. Well, I think it was already obvious. It's unlikely that the helicopter will be near some kind of cave.
Get down, son!
Little mutant Timmy, all grown up.
After the scene where we saw several more strangers, we wake up and as I usually loot everything. First along the corridor I met several cave natives. Of course they beat me up a lot, but I can't win with a bow. There are a lot of mutants in the bunker. At every step there is someone who wants to kill me. Having gone down a little, I found a laboratory where there was a very tenacious and tall mutant. Even with the shotgun he showed good resistance. This is where the cave ended. The cave led us right opposite another entrance to the next cave. I went to her by car, but before that I need to tame the natives a little. Entering the cave I didn't meet any resistance and found a strange drawing on the wall. Unfortunately the sudden progress through the cave cannot last long, so I had to take a katana and kill several cave natives. Again an underwater passage and again a mutant immediately at the exit. Mutants are here every turn, but it was worth it because I found a new weapon, namely a rifle. This is a very large cave, and my path was blocked by a mutant who stood in the middle of the passage. The passage was narrow, but I was able to avoid defeating him. Then I met many more mutants, but I remember one most of all. This giant is very tenacious. Thanks to grenades and shotgun I somehow defeated the mutant. To be honest, it was a little scary. If it were not for the rock I probably wouldn't have been able to kill him so easily. It seems that I killed the boss of this cave and the end of the cave is not yet visible. Having met many more mutants, I met a spaceship of enormous size. Having entered which I picked up part of the artifact, I also had to pick up the ancient armor there. But due to the latest update this is impossible to do. This is a bug that cannot be solved, and all that remains is to wait for a new game updates. Therefore a little later I will give myself this armor using the command line. I hope you don't mind. On the spaceship everything interesting in this cave ended. We are transported to the field where after driving practice I found a plane, but there was nothing interesting in it. There were also military tents nearby with many supplies of arrows and electronic items. It's time to take a break and just starting building and improving the base. I want to make lightning everywhere so that when night falls my base is visible from afar. Well, just because of lightning it will be more pleasant to be at the base. My plans are to significantly change and rebuild the base. I need to make a shed where there will be food and water, make elevation for shooting aborigines and mutants. By the way, the aborigines constantly walk near my base. When I kill one, another comes and so on and infinitum.
You can see the riding on the pavement. Young kids, they're growing up in basements. Online, a whole new generation. I'ma make mine, so you better go take it. Always, they need a new replacement. Decentralized, can't contain it. We're changing lives, yeah, upgrading. Call it suicide of the older generation.
What keeps you up at night, yeah? Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. What keeps you up at night, yeah? Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. Yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong.
Next I came across a cave in which I could not find anything useful or valuable. Climbing higher and using a hang glider from a height, I saw 2 yachts on the shore which were immediately plundered. I found a camera in one of the yachts. Very interesting, but nothing is clear. After sleeping and admiring the beautiful views, I went deep into the island, where despite the good armor, they quickly dealt with me and took me to some field. On the field there was a golf cart which I took advantage of and arrived at another military camp. Here I found a rouse and something for a pistol. Most likely this is golf cart course. I enjoyed driving a car and looting all the small caves I could find. All good things tend to come to an end, and somehow I went down in my car and drove to small houses. In one of them there was a cave in which I found part of an artifact and the drawing of a new building. I followed the map and approached the viewpoint. I don't know what is, but it's shown on the map, which means there is something there. On the shore I found a lot of resources, but I was interrupted by a patrol of aborigines. Among them was a giant and he made me tense up. Still, it's difficult to fight him without any rouse, so I had to run to the golf cart and just run over the giant. I didn't find anything interesting in the VIP bunker right now, only a video without reservation. I have nothing to do here. So we will come back here when I figured everything out. On the way back I met an abandoned aboriginal camp where I was kindly greeted by 2 mutants, and I also found another military camp where I found another video.
Look at them, trying to get away. Not today. Another one. Uno. Due. Tres.
Nearby I found a bunker. Having dug it out, I found a revolver, and also when I pulled it out of the bunker, I met resistance in the form of a bunch of aborigines. Let's immediately move to the next bunker. In this bunker I found a crossbow and a mutant. Having dealt with that, I went down to the floated floor. When I floated into the room where I took the necessary key card. To be honest, this is where the calm exploration of the bunker ended, because as soon as I opened the door I saw people, but the natives had their own plans for them.
Looking good, Mr. Pumpkin.
So I had to slowly but surely kill the mutants from my path. It took a long time, but I figured it out with everyone. There is nothing interesting here, so immediately dived into the water and headed towards the exit of the cave. Well then, as always, I climbed higher and again using a hang glider headed home. But where are we without our good neighbors?
You can see the writing on the pavement. Young kids, they're growing up in basements. Online, a whole new generation. I'ma make mine, so you better go take it. Always they need it.
Thanks to the lightning I can continue to build day and night. By the way, this is how I decided to make a shelter for food and water. Where the water collectors are located, I simply will not build a roof for them to work. I think we need to fly somewhere on white, otherwise we might go crazy with these natives. After a short fight I found a military camp and a cave. There was nothing special in the camp, but the cave pleased me with cartridges and a new drawing. Then I continued my journey on foot, fighting aboriginal patrols along the way. There are few places left in the forest that I have not visited yet. I think it's time to conquer the peaks. As soon as climbed the mountain, night fell and visibility was even worse than in the forest. But despite this, I was able to find a cave in which there was another drawing. Coming out of the cave I slept, and in the morning I saw that it was next to the camp, which I practically missed due to poor visibility. I didn't find anything useful in the camp, so I moved further to the top of this. When I climbed to the top, the sun blinded me and I could find nothing further than arm's length. This place is very beautiful and and I was able to find metal deposits. But I needed good further, so I climbed onto the boulder and flew to the next mountain, on which I found a military camp with a lot of resources and even a 3D printer. There's also a car here in which I will continue my journey. Having descended a little, I saw a frozen lake completely surrounded by mountains. On the shore of the lake there was a lonely house inside of which I found a drawing of a sofa. In fact, this place is ideal for a base because from the highest point on the map, thanks to the delta plan, you can get to any place. The map shows that there is a cave here. When I entered it, I saw a descent below where I found another drawing. Further crossing the bridge, I thought that I need to speed up the descent. It was not in vain that I crafted a sled. After walking and flying a little, I found another house where there was a cave in which there was a drawing of a lamp. Nearby there was another cave in which I found another drawing and swam a lot. At the exit from the next passage I found a pickaxe and ore which I immediately mined. But after walking a little I met a spotted mutant who took me by surprise. Coming out of the cave it was night on the street, but by touch I reached the old house in which I found another drawing. I also returned to that cave to pick up part of the artifact that I missed. I walked along the coast until I came across a path that led me to the military camp where I had already been. Without stopping I drove on the golf cart further until I came to a cave in which there was another drawing. Coming out of the cave I had to deal with a crowd of aborigines. There were too many of them, so I decided to just leave them. Arriving at the base I repaired the fence and put a lamp on the tower so that it illuminated the battlefield. This day I was engaged in construction, but then I remembered that there was another cave on the shore to which I immediately went. The cave again is not large, but the drawing will not be superfluous. We are home again with Kelvin and Virginia. I prepared food at the same time, fighting off the little healers and spent the whole night building, enjoying my illuminated base. The morning greeted me with a bright sun and a mutant, but thanks to Virginia and the onions I defeated him without any problems. The next day, having completed the base, I moved on. Thanks to the new structure, I easily flew to the camp where I took everything I could carry. I also shot a deer. I returned to the base again and decided to go further downstream where I found a lake on the shore of which there was a cave and one mutant. For a long time I found nothing inside the cave except useless supplies. Then I found only mutants and some ore. There was nothing else in this cave except the feeling that I had been here before. Let's fast forward a few days, namely to the shore with a bunch of aboriginal camps. All of them were killed, but since there were several camps we had to use firearms. Nearby I found a broken bar next to which I decided to make gold armor. Gold armor is necessary to complete the game, so I started building a special altar. But as usual I was interrupted first by the aborigines and then by a huge mutant and home all the arrows and even the rounds of the crossbow went. It seems like I have fought back, but I can't make gold armor with a special ore, so we go down to the nearest cave, extract the ore and take the drawing. And finally, after so much suffering I begin the ritual. While the ancient armor turns golden, I will be attacked by Owl and Thunder, and my task is to fight back and wait. After many mutants I take the armor and drive to the bunker at all speeds to complete the game. Now we can put our hand to the wall. The door opens and our task is to follow this man. On the way we met a huge number of mutants, but thanks to the cross I killed them without any problems. This is truly a hellish place. There are a lot of mutants. What is this? This is huge.
You can see the writing on the pavement. Young kids, they're growing up in basements. Online, a whole new generation. I'ma make mine, so you better go take it. Always, they need a new replacement. Decentralized, can't contain it. We're changing lives, yeah, upgrading. Call it suicide of the older generation.
What keeps you up at night, yeah? Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah.
I had to try hard to kill him. If it were not for the mutant's armor, I definitely wouldn't have been able to do it. We make our way further through the narrow passage and see a strange room into which our entire team ran. And here is the last boss that separates us from civilization.
I think that we've all had enough. Keeps you up at night, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. Yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong. You got me like, oh yeah. I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong.
It's too late to try to go contain it. A generation fueled by creation. We live lives on a small screen nation. We control the airwaves, no negotiation. I refuse to think we need saving. Something good will come from creation. And when we think that the world is too anxious, we'll adapt, evolve, survive, and save it.
Keeps you up at night, yeah.
Here I had a choice to stay or fly away. My base is tongue in cheek, but I want friendly neighbors. This is the end of my journey in this game. See you soon.